Electron microscope uses electron for their which properties. Wave nature. The electron microscope uses electrons for its wave nature. The electron microscope is a type of microscope that uses a beam of electrons to create for the specimen. It is capable of much higher magnifications and has a greater resolving than a light microscope, allowing it to see much smaller objects in finer detail. If energy E, time t, and force F be taken as a fundamental quantity, then what are the dimensions of mass? E inverse 1, t square, F square. If there is a complete loss of kinetic energy, then the law of conservation of momentum would be violated. An artificial satellite moving in a circular orbit around the Earth has a total kinetic plus potential energy E0. Its potential energy is 2E0. Phase change. When a liquid freezes, it releases thermal energy into its environment. There are three rods A, B, and C of equal length L at the same temperature. Their coefficient of linear expansions like alpha B is greater than alpha A is greater than alpha C respectively. Then what will be the final order of length of rod? Is LB is greater than LA is greater than LC. Entropy of a thermodynamic system does not change when this system is used for conversion of work and heat isochorically. A given quantity of an ideal gas is at pressure P and absolute temperature T. The isothermal bulk modulus of the gas is P. The parallel metal plates having charges plus Q and minus Q forces each other at a certain distance between them. If the plates are now dipped in a kerosene oil tank, the electric field between the plates will be decrease. Two different conductors have same resistance at 0 degree centigrade. If it is found that the resistance of the first conductor at T1 degree centigrade is equal to the resistance of the second conductor at a T2 degree centigrade. The ratio of the temperature coefficient of the conductors alpha 1 by alpha 2 is T2 by T1. At a point on the right bisector of a magnetic dipole, the magnetic potential is zero at all points on the right bisector. The magnetic potential at any point is the amount of work done in mm, bringing in a unit north pole from infinity to that point at any point on the right bisector. The potentials due to two poles are equal and opposite. Electromagnets are made of soft iron because soft iron has low retentivity and a coercive field. If the number of turns per unit length of a coil of a solenoid is doubled, the self-inductance of solenoid becomes 4 times. A lead conductor consists of a number of strands of thin enameled wires connected in parallel at two ends and insulated throughout their lengths from each other. In AC circuit, a lead conductor is used in preference to a thick wire because of this reduces skin effect. The phase difference between two wave trends giving rise to a Compton's effect is associated with the X-rays. Compton scattering is an inelastic scattering of a photon by a quasi-free charged particle, usually an electron. It results in a decrease in energy, increase in wavelength of the photon, which may be in an X-ray or gamma ray photon called the Compton effect. Part of the energy of the photon is transferred to the recoiling electron. Binding energy is equal to the work function of the metal. In most of the metals, the threshold frequency is equal to that of ultraviolet. So the Compton effect is associated with the X-rays. Bohr's quantum condition for the orbiting electron demands that the matter wave be a stationary wave. Latent heat stands for hidden heat. Latent heat can be understood as a heat energy in a hidden form, which is supplied or extracted to change the state of a substance without changing its temperature. Longitudinal waves cannot be propagated through vacuum because longitudinal waves are mechanical waves which need the medium to propagate. They travel due to the pressure difference created by waves in the medium. In vacuum, they cannot create pressure difference, thus, they cannot travel in vacuum. Both AC and DC dynamo have slip rings. When light enters from air to water, then its frequency is the same, but the wavelength is smaller in water than air. Mm, when light enters from air to water, since energy remains the same, its frequency also remains the same, but the speed of light decreases, decreasing its wavelength. Speed of light can be given by nu is equal to n lambda, where lambda is wavelength. Hence, the wavelength is smaller in water than in air. When photons of energy h nu falls on an aluminum plate of work function E 0, photoelectrons of maximum kinetic energy K are ejected. If the frequency of radiation is double, the maximum kinetic energy of the ejected photoelectrons will be K plus h nu. The electrons are emitted in the photoelectric effect from a metal surface only if the frequency of the incident radiation is above a certain threshold value. Explanation: a metal exhibits a photoelectric effect that when light of a certain frequency greater than the threshold frequency of metal surface falls on the metal, then the surface starts emit electrons from its surface known as photoelectrons. If the frequency of light is less than the threshold frequency, no emission of photoelectrons takes place. The first model of atom in 1898 was proposed by J. J. Thomson. Sir J. J. Thomson proposed the first model of atom called the plum pudding model of the atom. According to this model, the positive charge of the atom is uniformly distributed throughout the volume of the atom, and negatively charged electrons are embedded in it like seeds in a watermelon. Uranium 238. Uranium, most common isotope, can be converted into plutonium 239, a fissionable material that can also be used as a fuel in nuclear reactors. To produce plutonium 239, atoms of uranium 238 are exposed to mm, neutrons.